So it was when I was 24. It was about 10 months after I bought my first single family, which 15K my money, 15K my parents' money, mom and son right there. And we made absolutely no money on it, but I was living for free. And so I was like, hey, I found this duplex. I know it's a really good deal. And they're like, hell no, we haven't made any money on the first one. You've only been living for free. So I was like, all right, I'll buy it by myself. I'll do an owner-occupied loan, 3.5% down, and I'll house hack it, and then we'll rent out the whole single family house, and I'll move in one side, and I'll put a roommate in the extra bedroom, and then I'll rent out the whole other side. And so that was like, oh, it's multiple doors. It's not about how much money I'm making, it's about my actual percent on return, because if I can learn how to analyze that, then I can always scale it.
So Ethan Montag is here. And Ethan, I kind of sent out a bio sheet, and he's got a whole bio sheet.
I just tried to be prepared.
You are super prepared, the most prepared guest we've had. So thank you very much. My goal with Ethan to have him come on, and I've known him, and I hope he gets into this. I've known Ethan since I started researching real estate. If anyone has been to the IAREA meetings, is that what it is? Yeah. So the first, maybe second meeting I went to, Ethan was talking, and I'm sure he'll talk about this property, about a property in Boone that he had for sale, or he was wholesaling or something. It's a group that is very kind of, I would say, behind the times, very old school. And that's when I kind of did a little bit more research and found a couple other real estate investing groups. But that gave me kind of a perspective of Ethan's been around for not forever, right? Not since the 08 crash timeframe, but since, I think that was 2017 at least. And there are deals out there if you have the right conversations. So I'll let you kind of go into your maybe timeline of everything, and then we'll kind of just ask questions as we go.
23 is when I bought my first rental property, but at 20, I went to like one of those free real estate meetup things that you hear from like fortune builders.
What year was it?
I was 20 years old. It was 11 years ago. So 2012, 2013.
I went to the 2011 one.
Yeah. That took me to Rich Dad Poor Dad, very basic, read it. From that point on, I was like hooked. So from like 21-ish, 2021 to 23, I just consumed a bunch of real estate literacy, saved up money, and then like worked on my credit and bought my first rental, which was a house hack at 23.
2 years you didn't do anything.
No,
except study
and work.
And save up.
Yeah.
So you get your personal finances in line.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Very, very boring. But I read a lot. I read a lot of books. I watched a ton of just YouTubing for real estate beginners, just the very basics, and going to things like this and networking and trying to figure out where I can give value to somebody who already had a portfolio to spend more time with them. It was just grinding for 2 years and not going, I really stopped going out as well. I've always been kind of I like to have fun. I like to party. But I stopped, and I really picked when I wanted to do that and saved up, and I got like 15K, and that's the amount of cash that I had for my first deal.
Okay, for perspective, anyone that's out there doing that, because I would probably argue that right now might be a good year or 2 years to do that exact thing, right? No? Carry on.
Bruh, I don't know, because think about it, if we started, in 2016, that's what everyone said too, like, yep. Oh, it's about to have a crash.
I didn't say that.
No, or just, I don't know. It depends on where you're at. Okay. I'm not stopping buying
How did you know not to buy something right away?
I have a very set metrics or baselines that I use for my calculations. I'm a logistical and I love numbers. I geek out on Excel. Not quite as much as my guy Carson right there. He's amazing. But I love it. So I stick to those. There's no emotions involved. If it makes that, good. If it doesn't, on to the next. No more time wasted on that deal.
How long did it take you to figure that? Like at some point early on, like you created this Excel spreadsheet and said, if it doesn't fit in my box, it's not happening? Or like, how did that mindset happen?
You'd asked me to write down like three to five pivotal points, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
The first one was a duplex. So it was when I was 24. It was about 10 months after I bought my first single family, which 15K my money, 15K my parents' money, mom and son right there. And we made absolutely no money on it, but I was living for free. And so I was like, hey, I found this duplex. I know it's a really good deal. And they're like, hell no, we haven't made any money on the first one. You've only been living for free. So I was like, all right, I'll buy it by myself. I'll do an owner occupied loan, 3.5% down, and I'll house hack it, and then we'll rent out the whole single family house, and I'll move in one side, and I'll put a roommate in the extra bedroom, and then I'll rent out the whole other side. And so that was like, oh, it's multiple doors. It's all about like, it's not about how much money I'm making, it's about my actual percent on return. Because if I can learn how to analyze that, then I can always scale it.
Also comes down to like cutting out your biggest expense, which house hacking does.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, when you can cut out your housing or at least drastically limit it, even if it doesn't make money, and you're able to tell mom and dad that, hey, you know, we're good, like it makes money, at least you aren't paying as much.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was one pivotal point. Let's go 3 to 5 more.
Well, I do want to touch on that house hacking thing, because I really think if you're in a spot where you don't either have enough capital to just drop 20%, a lot of the rebuttals I hear is like, oh, it's my girlfriend, or I have a kid, or they don't want to do that. And it's like, there's 2 reasons for that. Either you're not knowledgeable enough to be able to explain to them why that's beneficial, or you don't understand it well enough to yourself. And why are they going to believe in your vision if you can't articulate why this is so important? And truly, house hacking, and I'd still do it right now. He's my roommate right there, Sam. It has completely lowered my expenses, which is far more important than increasing my income. Third pivotal point was the Essex house, which you also, I think, toured.
Oh yeah, multiple times. Those of you that don't know, the Essex house is on 18th or 19th Street,
19th, yeah.
just 4 blocks from Smoky Row. And it was not gutted, but pretty close to gutted.
I did that.
Oh, so when you bought it.
When I bought it, it was not gutted.
Okay, so I'll let you tell that story then.
The
How did
story
you
with that
acquire?
one,
Yeah.
how I found it was, here's a little gem. I wanted to do my first seller financing deal, and I didn't really know how to do it. But in order to find a buyer, I got on Zillow, and I went to filters, and I changed it to like newest leads. And then I went back to the last page so that everything I was looking at was the most motivated sellers. And then I just contacted all of those, and I'd have like a normal financing offer and like a bank financing offer, and then a seller financing offer. And based upon their response, I'd know what their interests were. Then when I found the 7-plex and he was willing to do that, we got the terms that we wanted. I teamed up with the guy. I had just sold my 4 units that I had in Ames that I was kind of recently talking about, and bought like 12 units in Boone. And so I was like all out of money, and I spent like 10 grand to go to this event, another networking to learn, and where I was learning about seller financing. So I did this, and I teamed up with a guy that was in the NFL. So I was like, he's super credible. This is gonna go great. He's verified on Instagram. He ended up going through a divorce, did not work out. It like completely broke me mentally, and I ended up going to the owner, because I had bought this on contract, right? The owner of the note, the beneficiary. And I like broke down, and I was like, look, dude, I don't know what to do. I know this is a good deal. I know I can figure it out. I just need some time. And so he gave me like a 4-month window to not make any payments. I was doing the property, and I demoed the entire thing by myself with like a couple other buddies. And then I went to the RIA, and I pitched it, and I put it online, and I got an agent, and I walked it through, and I then had to resell it on contract at a slightly higher price. I think I only made like 15 grand. And then I bought it at like 3.5% interest and sold it at like 4.5. So I was making like a monthly spread of like 220 or something. But it was for like 24 months. And I cried my way through that process. And when I finished it, I was like, oh, I can do it. I'm unstoppable now. So that is what it was like, the multifamily, bug.
That was 24 months. What were you doing in between that? Like, you said it mentally drained you.
Yeah, exhausted.
Exhausted you, right? What was your mindset into like other deals that were going on that weren't that one? Because it's easy to do a shitty deal and just shut it down.
Shut it down, yeah.
Very easy.
This is probably different for wholesalers. I don't really wholesale, so I hyper focus on specific deals. So I didn't really have too many other deals going on, like that was my lifeline. Like if that went bad, the whole ship was coming down.
You did nothing for 2 years? That's not true.
No. Oh, you mean
Yeah.
I had sold it on contract, so at that point I was getting my monthly thing, and I was back right as soon as I sold it.
Okay.
I got the demo done and walked people. I knew that by opening it up and having it demoed, like real investors could see where the issue was, and that's probably the issue sometimes with buildings when they're the tenants, you know, or have a lot of stuff. It's hard to see all the damage that's done, so it's really hard to create an accurate, you know, bid. But I knew getting rid of that and hauling it all out would eliminate that issue. So as soon as it was done, it was right back to, and we met, Crawford Hall was right after that.
It was
like
after
in
Essex.
that process, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I bought Crawford Hall after Essex.
Okay, so go into Crawford Hall.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I came across this building. It was like 12,000 square feet. It was completely vacant. And I had read 10X, which is Grant Cardone's book. And he talks about there, if you can buy anything cheaper than what it costs to build it, you'll be in a good position. And there was like 78 windows, brand new vinyl windows in this thing. 78 times 450, you're talking about like $45,000 in windows. And I was getting the building for $50K, seller financing, $2,500 down and 0% interest. So I was like, and I only had to make payments every 6 months of $2,500 that went directly against principal. So I was like, okay, I can do this. And again, I did the same thing. I cleaned out the entire building, created these different projectas of what I thought the building could be, if it was rentals or if it was condos, or if the basement unit, because that's where it needed the most, could be temperature controlled storage units with apartments above. And I brought it, and that's where me and Darson met, is at that event. I like stood up shaking, kind of like I am now, and trying to like tell like, hey, I know these numbers make sense. This is what it could do. I think 10 months later, I bought it for 50 and sold it for 149.9. So I made like 99,000 on it.
If you don't mind sharing, how did you find that deal? Like someone just walked you up at Casey's and it's like, hey, like Ethan, I've got a huge house, huge property in Boone. Like what'd that look like?
So that was actually just simple kind of luck, or just being in our community. It was our church.
Yeah.
We had made it very known, or I had made it very known, that this is what we do, is real estate. And the church had 2 buildings. I tried to get both of them, but they just wanted the one. So it just kind of, they needed it gone. They needed the cash and stuff. And so we came in and fixed that problem for them.
Yeah. And like, I point that out because I don't see enough people telling all of their friends, all of their family, that they are real estate investors, right? Like, I mean, you don't have to say that you're buying 10 properties a year, a month. Like that's not important. The fact that you're just buying properties and you're willing to look at deals, if you just tell everybody that, you will find a deal. Like, I would love to figure out, and I don't know, do you have a number on the deals that you have found, what has come from electronically sourced deals versus I know somebody who knows somebody who has a deal? Do you keep track of that? Because I don't.
It's more of the latter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely more of the latter.
It's bonkers. Of the 9 deals I bought off market, they've all been, 8 of the 9 have been not electronic, meaning like
relationship. Right?
Their relationship. Yeah. They're just telling people that, hey, I'm willing to buy a rental that's crappy, or I love apartment complexes, or hey, do you own something in general? So anyway, not to steal that, but
no, I totally agree.
How about network? What has it done for you? Where have you gone with it?
I mean, I think that's probably why we've stayed as close. I've got 75% of my team right here. Some of my best friends, my old wrestling coach, a lot of people that are here in this front row I've known for 10 years before I owned any real estate. And so like I've been drilling in. Some of these people also own rental properties and they have other careers. So I think it's all I do is talk this. And I've lost friends from it, but the ones that have stayed, they love me for it. And this is what we talk about and we grow together. And I don't, It's lame to be on a yacht by yourself. It's way cool to be there with your homies, which I have been on a yacht in Greece with that man right there.
Okay, so next question. What have you sacrificed? We all have different things in our lives that are holding us back, like limiting beliefs. When you were starting out, when you were halfway through, what limiting beliefs have you like wiped off the table and be like, I don't believe that anymore, but I did before?
That I have to have money to do real estate deals. It's so toxic in certain senses.
Explain more.
It's far more knowledgeable to be able to find what a good deal looks like and be able to properly analyze it. That's far more of a commodity than cash is. It's way harder to find a good deal than it is to find cash. When I realized how important it was to not just understand numbers, but understand why those numbers were important to people that had money. I don't do deals necessarily through banks anymore. A lot of my deals are seller financed. A lot of deals I'm either having one or two partners with capital. I don't have to have money to do deals anymore.
How do you find those people that just have money to give you, or how do you convince them the deal is a deal?
You gotta put in the work yourself first. So before I had any partners besides my parents, the first deal I did with my parents, second one alone, third one with my parents, fourth one alone. I think you just have to be consistent and be willing to put in the work yourself, or put up some money as well. It's not that simple. You almost have to create value where value is not existing. And so if someone's just going to trust you with their capital, you need to at least be competent and understanding of how to make that money work so that it's profitable. And that's how I did it. I made all my investors a shit ton of money, and so then now they like me and we continue to do business.
Let's go back to limiting beliefs and sacrifice. So not having money is one. What else was a limiting belief that you had?
That I had to shelter my cash, protect it, like it was like a little baby or something. The older I get and the more I do this, I realize the more money I can make other people, the more money it'll seem to make me, because it creates my value. I really try and focus on making other people a lot of money, because then I know that I have value in that. And I don't have to worry about when I'm younger, which I would give out equity or I'd give away cash to people that were more established to instantly just be like, you understand, you want to work with me now. I'm here, this kid, I'm 25 or 24 years old, I just put 20, 30,000 of Crawford Hall. I gave 40K away to Dustin Kupka to be my partner under the terms that we would take all that 100,000, which is now only 60K mine, and go buy another building together that he would manage, and we'd roll that in. So I gave away, instead of just being an agent and paying him 3.5%, I gave him 40K, and now he answers my calls at midnight when I call him. Like that, when you're younger, that's your commodity, is to give away time and money, because you can live on, when you're house hacking and doing other things like that, you can limit your expenses and do that. It's like a life hack.
We have not dug into what you have actually done besides from one-off stuff, right? 3, 4, 5, 6 properties. So can you share where are you at right now? What one of my favorite things on social is seeing people that say they have thousands of properties, but they own 1% of thousands of properties. And yes, that's important and all, but it's not the end all be all. So can you share with us as much as you're willing to share of what do you own percentage-wise, partnership-wise? One thing that attracted me to you is you give more than you take, which is a rare commodity in today's world. Share where that's at.
I think we're at 86 or 87 units, and I own a majority percentage of every building I have. Young Pro's the only LLC I own by myself, and I've only got 2 properties in it. Me and my parents have an LLC together. I've got a partner in Washington. We have an LLC together. I have a condo and a 4-plex in Kansas City. One I own by myself, one I own with a partner down there.
When you say you own it yourself, you own the majority, does that mean you own the majority of the cash in it, or you own rights to decide what happens with it?
I own the rights as well, but sometimes, so I charge a premium if a partner comes in. For example, I worked with this doctor and she gave me 65K.
Yeah.
I found an off-market deal. Took 25% of equity right off top before I put any cash in. Then I put enough cash in to purchase at least 51% of that deal. I don't know if that.
No, that's.
But then when like the condo I own by myself, that's just in Young Pro. There's no other investors, just me.
I don't do that to put you on the spot or like call you out. I think it's important to look at someone that has done a lot of deals and know like how does their mind think of when they're structuring deals? Who are they giving the equity position to? Who are they giving decision making? Because I would love to be the decider on a property and not have equity position. Like, I don't care if I have equity position. I just want to be the one that controls whether that property is renovated or not, where those funds come. Like, that's my personal decision. So it's interesting to hear from other investors where their mindset is on that. Let's talk about like, and I shared this when I sent the text out or sent the email out. You have like a couple 100,000 TikTok followers. That seemed very daunting for most of us, me included. How did that happen? What can you attribute it to? What can someone do today to, I don't want to say get that many, but what does that look like? Like, how has it helped?
It's helped a lot with exposure, the size of deals that I have access to. In August, I bought a 57-plex, and there was zero chance that wouldn't have happened hadn't I met my partner in Kansas City that I met through TikTok, which we then analyzed. We put under contract like 3 blocks. It was like 21 single family houses all next to each other in Kansas City. I'd never analyzed a multi-million-dollar deal before. When I did it, I was like, oh shit, it's the same.
It's the same.
It's the same. There's just more units.
It's so true.
And I was like, okay, there's so much more margin to pay a team and to be a provider. And so I was like, okay. And then as soon as we did that, I think within a week I had analyzed like 2 or 3 other, which I'd never done. In 6 or 7 years of investing, I'd never analyzed a multi-million-dollar. And now I had access to 3 or 4 of them just because I had practiced once. And after that, we got the 57 clicks. But basically, started on TikTok, I had like 52 followers, decided for 1 month, 30 days, no matter what, I was gonna post 1 to 2 pieces of content, even on Sundays, only real estate related. And by the end of the first month, I think I had like 3,000 followers or something like that. So then I waited a couple days and I did it again. And then I was like at 8,000. And then it was really dry for I think like 4 months. And it just got, I think I only got to like 10 or 11. And then one time on the house I bought here, I made just this video and it got like 7 million views. And yeah. And then I started making more videos based around that concept in my projects, being vulnerable, not worrying about being professional, and it just kept going. And then I've been flown to Hawaii and Dallas multiple times, Vegas, tons of all over, business partners in multiple different states now.
That's crazy. Can someone do that today? Like, what's that look like? Or should people just not pay attention to socials?
Yeah, I don't think I was special. I just think I just stayed at it and I got lucky because I put enough content out that eventually one of them's gonna hit. But it is consistency, sadly, with that. So if you're gonna do that, you can't just do it for 60 days and be like, oh, I posted 60 videos, you said it. No, it doesn't always work like that. But still, it establishes, it helps now when I raise capital. People are constantly always seeing me. If I didn't have social media, we might not be as close. You might not be as familiar as the deals I'm continually doing. Or I met him, right? He reached out because of social media. It's just really started so many conversations that I wouldn't normally have had access to. And all I have to do is make this one piece of content one time, and it's out there forever working for me.
I think is there anything else you wanted to cover? You want to do Q&A?
Yeah, we can do Q&A.
Okay, Q&A. Anyone have any questions? What was the favorite deal? Wait, why is that funny? Do you know him?
Yeah, that's Marty. That's the owner of the Essex. That's Marty.
What? Okay. Why is it? So why is it funny then?
There's been some interesting ones.
We don't have time for that.
Probably how I bought the 57-plex. I was like,
which was the Kansas City one?
That was here. That's here in Iowa.
Okay.
Just multiple levels of creativeness. I remember being in my office as I'm trying to like negotiate or play with my analyzer, just giggling to myself about like the different ways I'm gonna offer this or pull collateral here and buy this, the biggest deal I've ever bought with no money out of pocket. It was just mind-boggling.
Pick your failure, because you've had,
So many.
a few.
So many.
Pick one and just share where'd that failure come from? I'm just very curious because I do the same thing.
I'm not organized. It costs me so much money.
I laugh because I'm the same way.
Much. I'm hiring him. It's terrible. I'm very creative. I'm like a go-getter. I'm not organized.
But you're not organized, but you're an Excel spreadsheet guy.
Well, once it's made, you just plug numbers in, save it, good to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I need to be better with systems. I'm stepping back. I'm not putting a duplex under contract, but I'm gonna stop acquiring, and I'm gonna fix my foundation, get my strategies in, because I really do think that's, so many people are like, oh, I gotta do it myself, I gotta save money, and there is truth and value in that, but if it's a $20 task, and what you're doing is, $100, whatever your ROI is for your hourly return, it just doesn't make sense, and it's not scalable, and it's very hard to bring somebody in and just be like, deal with all the shit that I've made a mess of because I'm not good at this. And you gotta have a lot of money to pay that person to do it.
It's something they teach us as real estate agents is figure out what dollar value your hour is, right? And it's really tough when you have a W-2 income, because I've been there, and then you have real estate investing on the side. But figuring out what dollar per hour you are worth, is that answer. And then it comes to, can I hire someone out to do those things? And at the same time they're doing those things, can I do things that are valuable to my real estate investing business, not W-2 business? Essentially, The organization, I laugh at that because I am the lowest C on a disc profile that you will ever find. So my organization's same exact thing.
I'll add on to that. Cause I think that reminds me of, she kind of asked about the favorite deal, which I'm kind of in the process of my first favorite deal right now. It's another very creative one, and I'll just ran through it real quick, but I think the concept in it can be very helpful to people that may not have a lot of money. But in which why organization is so important, because had I not understood this or be able to properly organize it to get it to the seller, then there's no way this would be able to happen. But basically right now I'm trying to buy a duplex, seller buyer. When you do it seller financing, there is a note that's created. The seller then becomes the beneficiary and the buyer becomes the maker of the note. Well, you can do a substitution of collateral clause in which that you collateralize that property to equity that you have in other buildings. So then you now own this property free and clear, and then you can either re-go seller financing and make a margin on it, or you can take that CAT and go sell it all cash to a bank financier, someone who's approved, all cash, and then you're sitting on this lump sum because their note is now collateralized by a different asset that you're now sitting on $100,000, for example, $90,000, and it's not actual cash, but you can put it in your pocket because it's debt. As long as the asset that you're attaching that note to, there's enough equity that's larger than what you're attaching it to, and it's creating more cash flow, then it's already paying itself off, and you can it's just this multiplying thing where you take air and you make money, and it's wild.
So I laugh at that because it's literally algebra. I did not follow completely with what you're saying.
Explaining it the best either.
Because it's it's incredibly complicated, right? But when your goal is to try to figure out where the deal is, and you're willing to, hey, I'll give you this or I'll give you that, and that is the complicated version. This is bank financing, right? And it's an offer. The clients that I have that make offers, I would love it if every one of them came with, hey, I will offer these 3 different things to the seller. Really though, here's your cash offer, here's your seller finance offer, here's your conventional offer. Let's write it up, send it to them, right? Because when you have options to choose from, you want to choose one of those options as opposed to one option that you can say no to or you can say yes to. That's that's psychology of some capacity. You have anything to say? Any other questions? Q&A, anything?
When you're looking at other states, what do you typically look for to find
Look,
websites or?
so looking at other states, so out-of-state investing, where are you getting your data to make offers, or how do you network within other states?
First thing is a team. It was only because of my team member Ashley down there in Kansas City that I was comfortable to start investing there. So I'd say probably going down to spend time and going to events like this. It kind of seems repetitive or like a waste of time, but it's really what you put in, whether it's you're paying for it or going to it for free. How many hands are you shaking? How many genuine conversations? Do you remember their name? But once you get to that point, I'd say you can either drive for dollars, you can do the Google Maps thing where you select an area that you want to be in, you go to the Google Maps, you can do the 3D vision, and then you can like drive for dollars from your computer and look for properties that are run down that way. You can do the example with Zillow where you get on and backtrack what properties have been on the longest. I've also been recently contacting Facebook Marketplace listings that are for rent, that when their picture isn't a property management symbol, it's a person just saying that they're willing to sell. And if they're not, well, if you're still vacant in 3 or 4 months, here's my contact number, hit me up.
The tactical part of that is not, the what to do is not hard, it's the how do you systemize it every single time, right? The calling Facebook Marketplace rentals to see if they want to sell is very effective, I promise you. In whatever market you're calling, and it doesn't have to be next door. Questions? Anything else? Go ahead, Sebastian.
So how's your relationship with the banks now? And also, what terms are you getting on the properties that you're looking at right now?
So the question is, how is your relationship with the banks, and what terms are you getting for the properties that you're buying?
Yeah. After I bought the 57plex, my bank, the VP straight up was like, don't come in here for another 12 months. We're not gonna lend to you. Like, stabilize this asset.
Tell me more. Explain.
I maxed out. We were doing debt service coverage ratio lending at that point, so I'm still not getting lending based on having a job because I don't have one.
You're not paying yourself a W-2?
No, not bankable. But however, if I'm willing to put 25% down of a 2.4 million building and it's producing a 1.3 debt service coverage ratio, then they're definitely going to happily take my money. So, but they said no. And then after that, I've done 3 more deals, all of them seller financing, all of them between like 6 to 9% down with 4% interest, averaging between like 3 to 5 year terms. Interest only payments, which makes it weird.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask you we did I think it was December. We had Derek Tidwell in here, talked about seller financing, and Ethan actually said, he goes, "Hey, you want me to talk about seller financing?" And we might do another one on seller financing. But how did you learn it? Who should people follow to learn it, maybe? Or how does someone get to that point where you can just be like, okay, I see a property. There's this offer. There's a seller financing. There's cash. Seller finance. What terms should I do? What does that look like?
I learned how to do it by going to an event. The educator wasn't even the one that I learned this from. It was somebody there at the event. So, and that's where it's all about. Some events are very educational packed, some are better networking. But he explained why it was beneficial to the seller. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. And then I just had to regurgitate and understand it enough that I could then explain it to somebody else or just reuse what he said. But it was that simple. It was I knew the concept, but I couldn't explain and didn't understand why it was beneficial to a seller. And I couldn't answer any rebuttal questions that they were to ask me it. So I learned that, became better prepared, and within a month did the Essex.
Okay, so I'm laughing a little bit because in real estate world, they teach you script practicing. Did you do script practicing, or did you just talk to enough people that you just practiced on real people?
Definitely butchered those conversations with real people a few times, but it got the nerves out of it. But I have done scripts as well, but sometimes in the moment, you can't really remember exactly what the script said, or they say something that wasn't the exact wording that they used. So
I would say if you just have enough real estate conversations, you will find deals with the people that you know. You just have to have enough conversations about real estate, investing, being an agent, questions. Anything else? Go ahead.
You said you studied for 2 years. Obviously, you ran across quite a few different methods to make money into real estate, but how did you pick an avenue? And then now, I mean, how do you see yourself going? Like, are you targeting one direction, or do you see yourself being pulled in another direction? I'm surprised you're doing a duplex after what you've done so far.
So the question is, after 2 years of studying, how do you pick a path? And then he's doing a duplex, like after doing 57 some units, how does that?
Great question again. With real estate, there's so many shiny objects. There's so many different strategies like mobile home parks, storage units, multifamily, single family. I really like multifamily. I've become recently very interested with triple net lease, so commercial properties. But the reason I'm doing the duplex is for the strategy. I need to learn the process, and I'm very much so willing to risk $80,000 at 4.5% that's due in 4 years to learn that process and then go do it at scale for now $500,000 building or $1 million building. And that's another thing that's really limiting. It's I want cheap debt at fixed rates for a long time. And everyone's like, get out of debt, pay. No, it's like, I want debt. I want cash flowing debt at fixed rates for a long time.
Any other questions?
Where do you wrestle at?
William Penn.
Hold on, what was that?
Yeah,
Where do you wrestle at?
Yeah, where I wrestled at.
Are you guys gonna wrestle at?
We can wrestle right. I was
Just kidding.
I'm
Don't
still
do it.
about
Don't
it.
do it.
Ellsworth Community College in Iowa Falls, and then William Penn the next year and a half.
Okay.
Yep.
Sweet. So next part of this meeting, unless anyone has any questions while I'm talking, you can raise your hand. But network, people that were beside you, go grab coffee with them, go grab drinks with them. Enjoy their conversation. Give to them just as much as they give you, or more, probably more. So that's all I got. Thank you very much.
Should I? Are you a wrestling guy too?
Yeah, my daughter wrestles now at DCG. I grew up in New Sharon, so just
Really?
South Boston.
Oh my gosh, thank you.